Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wildcards. Gandhi joined by Kret. Kret, how are you, my man?
I'm doing really good. Excited to cast with you, and
I
I'm
know, it's
excited
our
for this
first
next
time.
game. Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be totally fun. You
I've never had
have
fun
outdressed
before,
me as
so-
well.
Well, I'm from Connecticut.
That's a thing in Connecticut. Well, I guess you guys got to find something to do there.
Exactly. We have gazebos, we have pizza in New Haven, and we buy clothes. Anyway,
Nice.
Thurst versus Rambozos kicking off. Ra will be the first ban. It's finally nice to see a little bit of those Ra bans because he's really good.
You know, the funny thing is I heard Dry Better put it so well. He said,
Sure.
if you're even with Raw, you're a little bit behind.
Yeah.
If he's ahead, you're very far.
I really like that because what it comes down
It's
to is
true.
Ra's just sort of the best viable team healer, right? Like, Hell can't really play her. You'll probably just die too much. Aphrodite, great at single target healing, but sustaining a whole team takes too long.
Yep.
But, I mean, we got a few other exciting bands here. Yanis and Serket, very strong characters.
For
Nuwa, just annoying.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, there is no Geb, and as you can tell,
That's true.
Rambozos, he actually gets through the first pick. I know, DM, if you're out there, buddy, you're pissed.
Yeah, he's mad. And so let's talk about this a little bit. The decision to go Freya before Geb, I don't want to hate it immediately because
Okay.
Freya is super strong, and that Valkyrie's Discretion is really good, but it also, I mean, it did just get nerfed a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't like super significant, but it definitely was a little bit. But the thing is like, at least when you grab Freya in the first pick in
Sure.
stage, like just the stage, not saying first overall, especially over a Geb,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the worst thing because it's like, is this a hunter? Is this a jungle? You
Yeah,
never really
exactly.
know, which is good.
Well, now we do, because there's Nemesis.
Yeah, so now they know.
Now we
so
know.
that completely ruined my entire.
Well, honestly, though, I mean, that Nemesis choice was really interesting. So they're picking Nemesis into Thor, which I want to say is an even matchup. You've got global presence versus a little bit more team utility with Ultimate removing the protections.
Okay.
And Nemesis can be very good against Geb, because while Geb's incredibly strong at saving other people, and he's good at initiating, his individual mobility is a little bit weaker than some other supports. So Nemesis can do a great job of taking advantage of that.
Gotcha. Well, back into the banning phase. Athena's going to get banned out, which is going to leave Thirst with a tough decision. Well, easy
Yeah.
for me. You grab Bacchus.
Right, that's the
Grab.
standard third. And Vamana ban, this is actually targeted against Meerkat. Vamana's
Okay.
probably his best god. We'll see what he decides to go into. Rom, a little bit late, and that's actually a Rom pick over an Apollo, which is another interesting conversation. So
Yeah.
I think they just want to fight with their hunter a little bit more, as opposed to that split push and that pressure. And the other thing to think about, I mean, they do know it's a Frey ADC,
Yeah.
so maybe the Paradox from the Rambos is just a little bit more comfortable with Rom against Freya.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, with the Rambozos, though, if you got to think, if you have Apollo, you have a
Sure.
very, very global team with Thor and Apollo. You basically are going to be able to secure just about everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, globals are so strong. Honestly, we have a team with no globals.
Yeah,
and that's
that's-
shocking to me.
Yeah, there's not a single global. Normally, we always see at least one.
There's actually no true global in this game. I mean, we've got Thor and we've got Rom, where it's like semi-global. You can kind of go like a quarter of the map, third of the map, whatever. And that's fine, but a team without globals at all is a very interesting decision to make. So Thurst is going to have to make those rotations old school. They're going to have to walk.
Yeah, it's going to be a far walk, too.
Yeah, so I want to see like proactive play coming out. Like, all right, what's going to happen in the next 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then make that rotation over. They've got some fast characters, which is still pretty good. I mean, Nemesis is quite quick. Agni is pretty quick. Kronos, but like they have to think about things ahead of time. You can't just Athena ult over to the
Does
side.
Osmos play any other god besides
Kronos is his best god. He's actually pretty good at other stuff. I mean, he's a ranked solo laner. He can play at a high level. Kronos is just sort of his thing. So
Gotcha.
I don't hate the choice, and I think if you're going to bring out your strongest god, this is the time.
Well, we're going to go ahead and hop into the game here. Thirst taking on Rambozos. Keep in mind, Thirst is still looking for their first win since the first week of the SPL.
Yeah, and so another interesting decision coming out here. If you take a look at Sun Wukong, played by El Brachacho, no early wards have come out, whereas Chris Pocket has already dropped one. He's got another one in his coffers there, and is probably going to drop that. Just currently waiting. And so he wants to keep that ward up for a little bit longer, does drop it, and recall at the 35-second mark. This ward will last until 2:35, I believe.
Now, is Thirst going to be starting at these back harps here with Freya just because she has a little bit better clear?
That's an option. We'll see what they elect to do with it. Honestly, I wouldn't hate a little bit of trickery. Grishank is a very efficient jungler. He focuses on his farm, so dual lane starting speed to blue or something like that could be nice because Grishank really loves his invades, and Thor a little bit stronger than Nemesis before that level 5.
Yeah, well, it looks like Brochacho, and that is going to be Wubba, who is going to be filling in here for Thurst as well. What can you tell me about Wubba?
So Wubba, formerly of Vicious and Delicious, is actually on the team that didn't quite make it into the wild card. They were very, very close, and for that team, he played support and he played jungle. Now in the Hunter role, so he's a very versatile player, has been on quite a few teams in the past, but not for too long, and really trying to make it in this competitive scene. I really hope things go well for Wubba because I'd like to see another player who's been in the game for a long time really make that hurdle into competitive like we've seen from Boosh from Cog Red.
Yeah, well, Adore is actually going to be bringing in Kukulkan, which we haven't seen Kukulkan since the nerf on his Whirlwind. Basically, the dot damage was greatly reduced, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, so what happened, right, is it was really frustrating to get to step in that tornado for, a second and then lose half your health. That got hit. The overall damage is less of a percentage reduction, but actually Aduro, there's a rotation coming in from Nemesis here. Wolfie just going to like to take some farm, and with Grishank coming in, none of these creeps should go into tower. That Berserker Barrage should clear. Over in the Soul lane, you've got Kronos versus Loki. Both want to farm. Both have a lot of power in the late game, and both very good at killing towers. Loki, though, opted to go into that Heartseeker, so Meerkat looking to stack up early and is probably going to want to recall relatively soon, within like the next 40 seconds.
Now, how does the Kronos versus Loki matchup work? I mean, we both know they want to farm, and
Sure.
Loki in the solo lane has to level his decoy, right? So he doesn't have a whole bunch of damage right away like we're used to seeing from him. So how does this matchup work?
All right, well, it's honestly probably just going to be a farm off, and it's going to come down to the junglers to turn this around. Nemesis not going to have great gank potential on Loki because of his defensive use of Assassinate if he wants to do that. He can shed slows and go invisible. So, Osmos relying more on poke, and then Grishank coming in with that Thor dunk, that could be really good against Osmos, but if he gets a good ultimate and if he plays that properly, and you actually see that already, Osmos is sitting a little bit back in the lane, then runs forward to clear, and that gives him a good recall location. It's just habit for Kronos players.
Well, this is a great job, actually, by Jaco and Wolfie splitting camps here. They went to the speed. They could be going to the back harps, but we've kind of been seeing this now. It's before the mid harpies. They go red to speed, and then they kind of go back into lane. Why?
This split is actually super important. So when you split a jungle camp, you get 147 experience as a team. Now, it's less experience for your jungler as an individual, but your team gets more, which is beneficial. Actually, hold on a second. Thor up in the air. We're going up on the right-hand side, looking for Osmo's first gank of the game, and will find the stun. There's the double tap. Cannot get the rewind because he's not level 5. Really good timing coming out from Grishank, and that's his efficient farm. He gets level 5 just a little bit too early for his opponents to deal with.
And the big thing there, too, I mean, very rarely do we see a team actually go ahead and get that early ward on the Fire Giant at that solo lane. They're like, okay, he's probably going to look to maybe go ahead and gank in the duo lane from what they're used to, but Thor just committing all in on the solo. It's brilliant.
And what's interesting is there is a ward from Thurst on that solo lane side, but it's on the wrong side of the Fire Giant. That's not where Thor's going to come from.
It's supposed to be in.
Exactly, against a Thor. So maybe just not making that adjustment. Now, interesting positioning coming out from Aduro here. Could be in a lot of trouble as Divine Judgment comes down. That's going to be a nice Spirit of 9 wins just to create some room, but it's not going to be enough as Jaco finds the kill with the bomb. It's now tied up 1-1. The mid camps has spawned, and I think Grishank went 1-for-1 on the left camp. Right camp, though, going to Meerkat. Great rotation from the solo laner.
Yeah, and that's big. I mean, the 315 Harpies is normally where we see all of our big engagements. That's where everyone's like, okay, we want to be there. So the fact that they were able to get both of them is going to be humongous for their team. But looking at it, I mean, Rambozos, as we look at the charts, I mean, XP 1,500, gold difference only barely 700.
Yeah, and so
the
experience being a little bit bigger. Gold is going to fluctuate wildly with experience just because it's wave to wave. So whoever clears first is going to have more gold at that time. But the experience is definitely just efficiency coming out from the Rambozos in their jungle, and that first blood helped out a lot too. So, I don't know. I mean, I think they want to win this early game here and then transition into that mid game and keep the pressure on so Thurst can't get a chance to farm up their Freya, farm up their Kronos. I think it's on Rambozos to keep that pressure going.
Yep. And you know, the one thing I want to really point out here is El Brochacho, right?
Sure.
Middle of the season, we saw him rotate from the Guardian, and then he was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to be the Hunter now because Nantan quit. But the thing about Brochacho is, like, he has so much potential in this game, but he's always just in bad spots. His timing is just always bad. He's always getting caught. How do you work on that?
Honestly, it sounds like you need a coach, but I think it's just looking at the game analytically and having someone else do it for you. Your opinions always seem a little bit more right than when someone else looks at them.
Oh, naturally, everyone's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm right.
Exactly. So one of the biggest things is just looking at sort of recall timings, or rather that's the most obvious mistake that's subtle, is when you recall at the wrong time, and we can actually see the Rambozos going back now at 5 minutes. The important buffs have just been cleared. Mid-camp's not spawning for quite a while, so this is a really good time to recall. And Jaco and Wolfie rotating your red together. They're getting that farm. They're not going to be invading anytime soon, and Grishank would be able to contest and invade anyway. So really good back timings. And it's just that little clean play, so important going into the Pro League.
And taking a look at the golden hand here, we're going to have Kronos sitting on 1,200. And as you can already see, he's got that Radiant Orb. But the one thing I want to point out here is why we're seeing the Fatalis already out of Freya, right? A lot of people are like, oh, why wouldn't you go Boots? It's like, well, that hasten does wonders.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're chasing, when you're engaging in a fight, Fatalis is better than Boots because Fatalis ignores that movement penalty. So even if you're moving slower on your rotations, you're moving faster in a fight, which is super big. And honestly, we've seen a lot more Freya builds that are just ignoring Boots because she's so good at... I mean, Demonic Grip is just a great pen item. She can use Spear as well, but hold on a second. Thor in the left jungle.
Yeah, he's got a chance. He's got Brochacho right in front of him. Paradox is going to be coming from behind. Brochacho in a little bit of trouble here, but he does have a little bit of reinforcements here as we're going to go ahead and see the forced ult here. Wolfie's going to be in the back, and we are not going to see an engagement anymore.
Yeah, and so big rotation coming from the Rambozos, just, you know, like, all right, we're not going to let you turn this around. And looking at the ultimates used, that's a Thor ultimate for a Nemesis ultimate, and a Kong ultimate. Left-hand side, though, Chris Pocket in a lot of trouble. Spear Tempest comes through, will hit Wolfie, but the Retribution Shield is enough to keep him alive, and Elberchacho walking away, so that's going to go to Thurst there. Right-hand side, though, the camp is still available.
Pre-nerf, both of them would be dead from the Kukulkan whirlwind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's so funny to see how little damage it does now compared to what it used to do.
Yeah, when you just take that one tick to apply the tornado and it's never refreshed, it really hurts.
Yeah,
but you still can't stand in it.
Yeah, which is good.
That's kind of the point.
You know, in that entire grouping, by the way, we saw Rambozos actually go ahead and get the mid-Harpies as well.
Yeah, Chris Pocket kind of suicided for it, and unfortunately, I mean, it was a really good shield from Wolfie just to turn that around at the last moment, and then Sun Wukong a little bit too tanky, so I don't know if the Rambozos really planned that out entirely. I would have loved to see a rotation coming out from the Paradox to clean up with his ultimate.
And Osmo's going to go ahead and return in the lane here. Normally, we kind of see Freya start to get online a little bit earlier than most other gods, right? Just because... And when I say online, it's really just hitting banishes, right? Because that's when she becomes so lethal in lane. And isn't she looking to aggress early?
Well, sort of. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it with the Thor on the enemy team. I think overall you're correct, but when you're up against the Thor, you have to be very careful not to get hit by that dunk because it just turns fights around really, really quickly. And actually, a rotation from Loki, Meerkat getting turned around on nice Divine Judgment, but he's in the jungle. Good bomb from Jaco there. Meerkat has the potential to get away here just because he's fast and actually might be going for a suicide.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a suicide. Doesn't give them the gold. He goes ahead and get out of here. And he's going to try to juke. He's going to get cut off here by Agni, but oh, wow.
Nice turn.
Good job. Oh, look at the plays.
This is just great Loki play, but Gold Fury, so he bought a lot of time. Gold Fury has been started. Is currently at 50%. Elberchacho interrupted out of his form. Spirit of the Nine wins to burst it into that 25% threshold. Rambozos secure it. Elbro will find Chris Pocket, but can this really be cleaned up sufficiently?
No, it can't. And Thurst is going to come a little bit on top there. And, you know, Rambozos... They were in a decent position. They started the Gold Fury, but as you can see, I mean, that's a big change. Now we're seeing 2,300 in favor of the Rambozos.
Yeah, so that was just a really good bait play coming out from Meerkat. He was like, all right, I got them going. I'm just going to be invisible, be annoying. And this is basically just ranked Loki play in a nutshell. Just run around and
it's so bad because
like
it's like post-traumatic stress disorder when I watch this.
Oh,
because the Loki, you always realize like a Loki's just so close to you, but in reality... Even in professional, he's still right next to you.
He does end up dying on the left-hand side, so not taking the opportunity to recall when he had it. But, I mean, he did at least get some farm. I love how right before he dies, he just hogs and decoys a wave so he can get a little bit more farm.
He's like, I want this. I need
You might as well, right?
Yeah, you might as well. And looking at Freya, not quite yet having the pen boots here. But that Doom Orb is going to be online as well, and he's got 17 stacks with it. So... Kronos, you know, he kind of waits a little bit longer. He's like a traditional solo lane. He kind of is like, okay, guys, let me just hang out till like 15, and then I'll come over and hang out with you.
Yeah, Loki able to... I mean, he's really more of a setup character at this point in the game. And actually, hold on, speaking of setup, on the right-hand side, Grishank could be in trouble, forced out with that Divine Judgment. Wolfie I feel like a little bit quick on the trigger finger there, because while it did create room, you're not really going to catch that Thor. Now, Chris Pocket in a good position, is stunned out to buy some time. Osmos will be forced to rewind, but he's not going to find a good position here. And now, with the Cataclysm onto 3, nice Spirit of the 9 wins, and El Brochacho is getting very low, taken down by the Whirlwind. Wolfie dead as well. Aduro with the double. Meerkat able to clean up Jaco. Big fight for Rambozos.
Yeah, and only Freya left alive here, and she's even getting pressured over there by the Rom. Paradox doing an excellent job at keeping... that's going to be Wubba in lane that entire time. This is going to be a tower here as well for the members of Rambozos. So all things considered, Rambozos in full control.
I mean, honestly, Thurst played so well around the Cataclysm at first.
Yeah.
And then they just forgot. And they grouped up, and it was just classic Geb Kukulkan. And maybe part of it, they're not used to playing against Kukulkan anymore because he almost disappeared.
Yeah, yeah. And, well...
The ult still hurts.
This is the thing. That's why we see Geb get banned, right? He's a force to be reckoned with. Even if he doesn't initiate completely with his ultimate, it still is CC for everyone who's caught. That's
oh, yeah,
so
it's
hard.
so good. And you follow it up with a knock-up as well, which... So, stuns take diminishing returns. After you get crowd controlled, your next stun will last for less time. Knockups don't have that downside, so... Cataclysm and a Shockwave is just a lot of crowd control. You can't really get out of it unless you beads the Cataclysm, and that didn't happen in time. Spirit of the 9 wins just carving through Thurst, and it's so good when it hits still. I mean, Kukulkan still has his ult. He's still a howitzer.
Yeah, and now we're starting to see Thor actually get online here. As you see, the Jotuns is going to get picked up. Next will be the Shifter's Shield, most likely. I don't think he has too much. He could look at it and say, you know, I do have to worry about the mages and go with like a Magi's, but I think the Shifter's Shield is just better with Thor.
Yeah, I mean, when you can afford to get it, I like it, but I don't know. Grishank hasn't really gotten the kills, so he does
have 5 assists.
He's definitely more of a support Thor this game, just by the way things turned out. He doesn't have to carry, which honestly is sort of relaxing. You're just like, all right, I just got to get a stun and then another stun. And actually, speaking of Grishank in the right jungle, he's up in the air. Will not find Jaco, though, and good dash coming out from the Thurst mid laner.
Well, that's the thing about Agni, right? He is so safe. You're never in a spot where you're like, I'm screwed. In fact, right now, if anything, the guys of Rambos are like, hey, at least his dash is down. We should probably look to go on him again.
But let's be honest, when you see an Agni dash from anywhere on the map, you just start running. You're like, all right, I'm back at base. I'm going to buy shielded teleport, drop a ward. I'll be there. We're going to gank this Agni. So there's a little bit of a
he's just awful to deal with.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Like, even when he doesn't have his dash, he can throw Noxious Fumes down, or now we're seeing 2-in-1.
So many options.
Flames right in front of him. Like, he's so safe if you're good with him.
Yeah, if you're good with him. And now Jaco caught out a little bit. That double tap from Grishank is so huge. And so this is a really good play from Grishank. Actually, hold on a second. Initiation coming out onto Wolfie. Nice stun from Jaco to buy time. And with the Retribution Shield, Wolfie's out. But Elberchacha going in. That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no, he's in this. He's in the middle of 3 of them. He's got Kronos. He's going to have to go up there, and Kronos is going to force the ultimate as well. Jaco not spotting Meerkat, who's going to go invisible, and now this is going to be the Wukong. Is Brochacho going to be in trouble? He's got his teammates kind of beside him, but they are not going to commit.
And now Wubba is in a little bit of a bad spot. The Loki burst not quite going to connect as Meerkat misses the auto tag, and up in the air is the Valkyrie's aggression, but not finding the hits. That's going to be a nice Spirit of 9 wins, annihilating Jaco, who's set up for herself with the Aegis. And that's it's not quite a D side. Chrono's still alive, but he is being forced out, and honestly, this feels like it's 20 minutes in. No, he has to disrupt and sort of like stop Rambozos from doing whatever they want, but this should be a Gold Fury nonetheless. Yeah,
there's going to be a Gold Fury here, and the worst part is Wolfie's just going to basically watch them take it.
Well, the biggest play in that fight, honestly, is just the rotation from Meerkat coming out around the backside to just catch Wolfie after he thought he was safe. And that's one of the things that Loki's so good at. But Wolfie has to defend this, and he really can as Chris Pocket goes down. Wow. Thanks to that Divine Judgment. Just not enough health. That's going to be a really good time stop. Great beats from Aduro, but with the dash, with the slice and dice. Actually, under tower assassinate, Meerkat is everywhere.
Dude,
does he know he's a soul laner?
What's funny is he was sitting there trying to back by their back harpies, and then he was like, well, it's a kill. Yeah, I'll take a kill. Why not?
But actually, look at this. Osmo's pulling the Gold Fury for his team, and that's a little bit too soon. We'll be forced to reset, and Meerkat, I mean, he was able to back and come back in.
Well, Meerkat, eyes on him. Grishank's going to get caught. Wow, look at him just lose his health bar. Grishank, as Thor, just going to go half. Now, Meerkat could be in a position to kind of come behind here. He's going to go invisible. Is he going to take anyone out? This is going to be Osmos. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. Down goes one, but they do not have the Gold Fury, and the fight's going to ensue.
Yeah, Grishtank coming down, but absolutely bursted by Jaco. Wubba trying to get damage onto Meerkat, who is currently invisible. The stun.
Good God.
On the Paradox, but Wubba taken down by Meerkat, who is playing out of his mind now. El Brachacho in a lot of trouble. Eliminated once again by the Loki, and Meerkat is 9-1-2.
He's not done yet, I don't think. I mean, he's got Wolfie in front of him. As long as he avoids the slice and dice, he could go from behind and probably take out Jaco, but I don't think he's going to be that greedy. This is going to be Chris Pocket. Oh, God.
Spirit of 9 wins to Peel.
Look at this. Look at this. Meerkat is going to be there. He's going to come back. Down goes Jaco. That's going to be a Divine by 9. And now Wolfie's going to go down. Rambozos coming in hot.
The other thing I want to mention, Meerkat has one active, and it's not a team fight active. It's a shielded teleport, so he's using it to rotate. That's why he's everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, so part of Loki, right, if you Aegis him or whatever, he's not useful anymore. He's probably going to take like 90% of health, has to back out of the fight, but he's so slippery that you don't want to chase him, of course, right?
Yeah.
So what if he just recalls and teleports back in? I really love this pickup on Loki.
Isn't that terrifying, though? Because you need, like, almost need those beads 3.
Yeah, and he'll probably get them in his other active slot. He hasn't gone a hand of the gods, so he's... I mean, I honestly think Meerkat is just going to kill the carries from Thurst, and Rambozos can win the game off of that.
Well, that's certainly one way to look at it. I mean, you got to think, even if he gets behind Wolfie's
actually right-hand side, Osmos... all right, Meerkat, he's still playing safe, and... That's so important, right? He's just tempering his aggression to the situation. Grishtank, being a little bit more aggressive, does have beats 3, though.
Yep, he's poked. He's poked the bear. Brochacho, who's rotated all the way over here. Taking a look at the ward coverage, we're not seeing much coming out of Thurst as we're going to finally see a second ward get placed. And it's all on the Gold Fury side, nothing on the Fire Giant side of things.
Left-hand side, though, that's a Ram up in the air, and waiting for him is a Freya and a Nemesis. Now, Thor on his way does have his ultimate available, so this might be able to be salvaged, or at least avenged, as Thor comes down. Anvil of Dawn on to 2, and Wubba should fall, able to get up in the air. So now Grishtank,
that's a turn
what's
on.
His play?
I think he's turned on him, dude. Grishtank's not in a good spot. He's got Geb finally coming up. There's the shield, but Meerkat, eyes on you, buddy. Kukulkan's going to be there as well. Osmos could be in a world of trouble. Meerkat just trying to sneak up there. Tides of the Nine's going to miss, and he hasn't gotten into the fight yet. Finally, he's going to make his debut.
Yeah, able to take down El Brachacho, and you don't often see a Loki kill a tank. Osmos with the rewind, but there's the assassinate, and now nice immune on the stun, so he's not going to get stunned out there because he is slow immune. Great play from Meerkat, and now 11-1-3. Needs one more for the 11-kill streak.
Dude, that was... this is my nightmare of a Loki.
Oh yeah, it's
right.
horrifying.
Like I'm watching it, and I'm like,
wait, look at where he is now.
Awful.
He wants no, he's proxying waves. That's even dirtier. So that proxy is actually really important because it means that there will be no creeps to come up and just buy time under this left tower. And Kukulkan, honestly, not that bad of a tower killer, just because he has so much magic power.
And Freya's still looking to go right into the demonic grip after this. All things considered, 1, 2, and 3. You think that's the best option for her?
Honestly, I feel like he just wants to really get to that Freya timing, and Demonic Grip with the Fatalis can really do that for you and get it rolling, but I want to see Aegis Amulets just across the board to deal with this Loki. And even then, and here's the problem, this is really smart for the Rambozos, if you Aegis too soon, that just sets up a Duro to ult you.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, it's really scary. I mean, with the damage reduction from Aegis 3, like, at least it doesn't hurt as much, but it's still Spirit of the 9 wins, and he still has plenty of magic power. Currently 220, but at 18 minutes, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and all things considered, looking at the player damage, no shocker that Meerkat leading the way with 11,000, but right behind him is Agni. He has gotten, he's like right back into like the full swing of every game now.
So I love this build coming out from Jaco, just going directly into penetration, because Agni's base values are pretty good. And so he's able to do a fair amount of damage, but honestly, I think it's a little shocking. I mean, Meerkat is playing amazingly, but Loki being on top of player damage is often a surprise because he's so single target. You don't really get a chance to pad your stats. It's just kills. But in the left jungle, Thor up in the air, and we'll be looking for Wubba. Nice combo. That's a kill. 4, 1, 2, 3. And the Freya can't get away.
Yeah, this is pretty much, this could also be a tower as well. We see Meerkat actually finally is going to be, he's going to be luring him over. He's going to drop the decoy as well, just to keep his eyes there. But Jaco, oh, they're going to commit on this. They're going to lose this tower, but I think this might be a really big fight here. And the Gold Fury is getting ready to come up, so whoever wins this team fight is going to be a little bit in the lead or reducing the lead.
Right, but it's going to be an uphill battle for Thurst because they're currently 4v5 on the map. So this would be a nice time for the Rambozos to engage or bait something out, maybe force a Gold Fury, which did just respawn. But Loki is also an amazing split pusher, and he's a great tower killer. So Meerkat in the middle lane, they can just sort of set up a 4-1. And why do you need Apollo when you why do you need Apollo when you have Loki? So the Rom now makes a lot of sense. In the left-hand lane, Aduro rotating over and not going to find the Zephyr, but just keeping up the pressure here as Meerkat split pushing 2 lanes at once.
Oh, this is a Gold Fury as well. Now, they have the vision. They saw Agni go into the mid lane, and they're like, you know what? That's a Gold Fury if I've ever seen one. Meerkat bringing one over there as well. This is basically free.
And so what do? Do you lose the right tower or lose the Gold Fury? Thirst have to pick. And
that's a question for you.
You have to commit to one. You have to choose one. Thirst didn't do that, but honestly, it's a lose-lose situation because Loki can get away and the team can get away.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? I mean, the Loki's just been luring them away from everything, too.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, you can see him just completely deter everyone. They're just like, oh, we gotta kill him.
And now with that Titan's Bane online, 50 stacks of Heartseeker, I mean, towers are just, they're going to die to this Loki so fast because he's dropping them to about 75 protections. And the difference between 150 and 75 is just incredibly substantial.
Yep, and we're seeing the Beads 3 come out of him as well, so that's going to... He's basically looking at that just for the cooldown.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the reset and with the CC immunity, you could be so sneaky. Does use his shielded teleport to maintain pressure on this right-hand side, so that's going to be down for about 2 minutes, but honestly, it's just a 2-minute cooldown. That's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And looking at it, I mean, I think Aduro's been playing so well this entire game.
Great aim with his ults.
Yeah, the thing about, you know, playing Kukulkan, different than, you know, in Agni, is that you have to be safe at all times.
Oh, Elbro getting engaged on by the Loki, forced to ult by a Loki. No ultimate used from Meerkat, just raw damage. Now Meerkat getting turned on with that Divine Judgment, will go invisible and actually go into Osmos. Forced to rewind, Assassinate used, and Meerkat could be in trouble. He's just going to disappear for now, lurking off in the lane as Elbro is forced out. That Whirlwind could be a kill, and up in the air is Thor. Where's he going to come back down? Looking for Jaco. Spirit of the Nine wins. He's going to annihilate Wubba. Now Jaco in trouble on the backside, and that will be a kill going to Grishing.
Jaco went ahead and went for the Aegis on the Tides of the Nine, and you're just like, well, let's pray to God I live, and he was able to live that as well. That is a great play by Jacob, but unfortunately the rest of his team got taken out.
Yeah, I mean, he was just cleaned up there by Thor at the end, and, you know, let's look at the bright side.
Okay.
Thurst did enough damage that Rambozos can't get Fire Giant yet, and they're going to be able to save their Phoenix thanks to Wolfie, but it's really looking rough, and Meerkat now 11-1, so he does have that next streak, and Fire Giant actually has been pulled by Kukulkan and Rom. It should be going the way of Rambos.
Yeah, it's looking like Rambos is in full control. I mean, 22-9. I'm already spamming F6 at this point.
Meerkat just got the scumbag. Fire Giant could engage on Wolfie.
He's going to be careful because of that shield, and the Divine Judgment's going to come out as well. Wolfie's going to be taken out, though, possibly by Grishang. He had him locked up in the CC, and then it's going to be a complete disengage. And, you know, looking at it, I mean, the experience, oh my God, it tells the story if I've ever seen it. 21,000 in favor of Rambozos. That basically means they can't even fight them.
Yeah, I mean 5 levels on the solo laner, and obviously a Loki that is this far ahead is going to be 5 levels up. But man, it's really a big lead for the Rambozos in terms of experience and gold. What do Thurst have to do? I mean, they just have to sit under towers and turtle.
That's
and
so
pray.
hard to do, though, right? Because then you
it's easier.
You go ahead and you push out a wave way too far, and you're like, well, I don't really have anything to do. My jungle camps aren't up for a while.
And actually, Meerkat just teleported in, will proxy the middle lane. His invisibility's down, and he's going to actually run into Thurst, uses the beads to get that CC immunity and the reset. And
I feel like he's trolling right now at this point because Wubba might go and die to his hands, and then he's going to use his Assassinate to get out of there. In comes Thor, though, as well. He's going to be behind one. He's going to miss the Tectonic Rift, but he did create a little bit of a wall for him as well, but forces the Chronos ultimate out as well. Aduro's still in this fight. He's going to go ahead and let Crit Pocket tank this just a little bit.
Yeah, but Meerkat now invisible, going in again. There is the decoy and the wave. Not going to find the damage on Wolfie. Divine Judgment coming through, and that should force the Loki off. Time stop not enough to connect, and honestly, Rambozos are a little bit in a tough position here. They're just going to turn on the tower and take it down now, but they weren't able to get what they wanted, only finding the kill onto Wubba.
And on top of that, Thurst has to be extremely careful right now. This is the perfect time. If Rambozos gets a kill or two, they don't even have to worry about the Phoenix. They're just going to go ahead and peel off and go directly to the Fire Giant.
Fire Giant's already on Rambozos, but I agree with your point overall, just because if they get like one kill, they can just take so much. Spirit of 9 Winds not going to connect, but Meerkat coming in onto Wolfie drops him to half, and that's going to force the Nemesis off. Paradox is able to get the kill onto Jaco with that Astral Barrage. Now Brochacho in the front of the team fight. Roll in from the Paradox, but not going to connect with enough damage. Wubba finds a nice bandage, but it's the blink in. Meerkat finds the kill onto Osmos. I think he needs 2 more to get that.
Dude,
that
Meerkat's played so well this entire game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like down to the split pushing, everything. He's been everywhere. The portal actually worked out very, very nicely on him, but this isn't over yet, as Brochacho's going to walk straight into a 250 crit, and rest in peace, Wolfie.
Yeah, Wolfie going down real fast. Now Wubba in trouble as well. And honestly, I think the Titan's going to go down here. Rambozos playing absolutely out of their minds. Thurst were not prepared. They were not ready. And it really seemed like it was all on the back of what Meerkat was serving up. Excuse me, Mere Lion. He was unbelievable this match.
Have any of the NASPL professional teams won a game today?
Yeah, Chunks, but they had to because Chunks versus Thurst.
Oh, that's right.
So they had to,
but not versus the Challenger Cup teams.
Exactly. The Challenger Cup teams have just been in control all day.
Yeah, they've been looking very, very good.
That's really, honestly, awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's really good for North America because we were like, oh, we're not sure. But go ahead and take a look at the player damage here. 19,000 for Aduro. That is the power of the Whirlwinds. But the real story here, 20,000 for Meerkat.
Yeah, top damage Loki is really rare. You have to really carry in order to get that. Honestly, I feel like we haven't stopped talking about Meerkat
haven't either.
Minute 5 to the end of the game.
Well, so how fitting is it that we actually have a highlight of Meerkat as well?
There you go. I mean, he just set the tone of this game.
He really
all
did.
Throughout his ultimates. He was just so sneaky, and that's what I love about Loki. We're gonna see him here dropping a proxy in the middle lane with that decoy. He's gonna go invisible, and the question is, where's he gonna target first? It's gonna be Osmos, who gets burst down real quick and dies before he can even rewind. But now Meerkat in a little bit of trouble. And he's gonna peel off in the jungle, just buy some time and stay alive. Forced to juke back in.
He was basically just waiting on Freya. He was like, I know Valkyrie's Discretion's coming out. I want to eat you. And he's just not done. The whole time, he baited and forced Thurst to basically follow him the entire game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the big part, because the laning phase, like right after like 9 minutes, was all about Meerkat bringing his lane out of the way.
Yeah, and he's going to actually just stick around here. But Jaco, look at him. Full health. Assassinate comes through, finds the hit after, and just nukes down the Agni. Meerkat not afraid to stick around for just a little bit.
No,
honestly,
not at all.
even too long. Just comes back in, gets the kill because he knows he has it.
Do you think we're going to see more Lokis in the solo lane from here on out? Like, just flat out
in
just
ranked
because of
games
this?
for sure. I mean, Meerkat's just like, he used almost every trick in the book.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of play out of that with Game Hunter, right? On TSN.
Sure.
He's all about Loki, and the split push is so real with him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but honestly, it wasn't really split push entire from Meerkat. Like, he proxied where he can, and he was being very efficient, but he wasn't being a split pusher. He was just being a nuisance.
Yeah.
And he was a really scary nuisance, too, because you couldn't send one person to stop him. That one person would die. You needed 2 people, so how do you deal with that? And honestly, I think, well, first of all, you try not to let it get there in the first place.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
I think it had to be the 5v4 play, but even then he's going to shield a teleport to help his team.
Yep.
Really a no-win situation for Thurst.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for that game. And you guys, as long as you stick around, we'll have another one. Stay tuned. I don't know what that was supposed to mean.